Spider-Man is doomed. Mindy Kaling has found herself with some free time. Ewan McGregor has way too much confidence in de-aging tech. Think the Buddy Christ dogma has risen. All this and more on Cutting Edge Hero Live. Welcome to Cutting Edge Hero! I am the Nerd King, Danny Stewart, your host this week and every week. Glad to have you here. I am joined this week by the sexy, the lustrous, the actual Landon Felter. Landon, say hi to the nice folks.
Hello, everybody. In reality, I'm only two of those things. I'll let you figure that out, though.
Yeah, it has been, we took a week off. I was actually coming back from a trip from Chicago and could not get on. But we are back. Glad to be here. First time caller, long time listener. Anyway, Landon, what is the nerdiest thing you have done this week?
Well, it's actually Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so I've been spending so far of October just smashing hard drives wherever I see them.
Okay, yeah, stay away from my hard drive.
I work the computer. You can't keep me from it.
It's true. Oh man.
But really, this week I've just been hammering down working on homework. It was midterms over this past week, so that was where my focus was at.
Yeah, nerd. Kenpachi in the chat said, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, Kenpachi. Glad to see you. My nerdiest thing this week is we took a trip. Well, I guess it kind of falls on last week, but we took a trip to Chicago to watch Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on stage in Chicago. And boy, was that fun. I had such a good time. The play was incredible. The choreography is awesome. The way they did the magical effects were a blast. It really does kind of put you in like the mentality that the magic is real and that you're actually watching an actual, Wizarding World production that falls in line with the movies and the books.
Stagecraft is its own kind of magic, really.
Yes. Yeah, they did some really cool stuff. I won't really break it down. I will save that for whenever you get to see it yourself. I did take an entire video of the production that I will put up on a live on my TikTok. I'm just kidding. No, don't do that. If you go to see theater live, leave it live. Let people experience it the way it's intended to be experienced. Also, I've been playing this mobile game, Top Heroes, way too much. I have invested way too much time in it, and I need to stop playing it, but it is a lot of fun. And our guild is like the 8th in the I forget what the word I'm looking for is.
League?
Kind of. In the thing we play on.
Server,
thank you. That's the word I was looking for. We're 8th in the server. And we're working on it. We're gonna hitch up. But anyway, so that's been a lot of fun. And then on top of that, I read John Dies at the End this week. After the challenge by our good friend Story Love, who said that if I would read John Dies at the End, she would read the Stormlight archive. And so the ball is in her court. I have done what I was asked to do. So there you go, Story Love. It's your turn. But anyway. So that has been the nerdy things I have done this week. This week we are talking about Joker Folie, Agatha All Along, episode 4, and then the finale for Rings of Power. But before we get into that, we're going to be discussing some news. Oh, and on the hit list, we are talking about our 5 favorite characters that think they're him, but they ain't all that. But anyway, before we get into that, we're going to do some news. Landon, how about you fire those bullet points at me? Welcome to the bullet points. How is everyone this evening? Doing well?
Yes, a bit off evidently, but doing well.
In comic book news, so recently Doctor Doom has taken on the mantle of the Sorcerer Supreme in the Marvel 616 universe, and now um, he is taking Spider-Man under his wing. And as we all know, whenever you get a new boss, you get a new costume. So this is the Spider-Man Doom costume that he will be wearing in starting an Amazing Spider-Man number 61, written by Joe Kelly with art by Ed McGuinness. And he is going to be tasked with taking down the Scions of Cyttorak. And Doom has given him a new Doom-inspired tech/magical costume and 8 lives to fight Cyttorak with.
8 what?
Lives. Spider-Man's gonna die like 7 times in this.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they're just straight up saying, yeah, he's gonna die and come back. We're not, for once, they're being more honest with a superhero.
Yeah. So the story is the 8 lives of Spider-Man. So we'll see how that goes down. But yeah, so he's one shy of what Black Cat has, but yeah, so that's exciting. Over in TV news, Ewan McGregor was recently interviewed at LA Comic-Con, and he said that he would like to see in season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi for them to actually go back in time to the Clone Wars so that he and Hayden Christensen can actually do Obi-Wan and Anakin content and do more lightsaber battles and do more exciting stuff. What do you think about that, Landon?
I mean, I would always be excited for more Clone Wars content, but like you joked about in the intro, he's getting a bit he's getting a little up there in years.
That might be the most expensive Star Wars series of all time because they are going to have to de-age them for every single Clone Wars scene. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. I feel like we're not getting Facebook comments, but let me check.
But yeah, I would personally, if they were to go back, I would want new actors. Maybe not make it part of the Obi-Wan series. Maybe make it its own thing. Maybe call it Clone Wars. I wonder if they've done that before.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly not one by Gendy Tartakovsky, as well as one then produced after the fact by Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I can't even imagine something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely not something like that. And then, there certainly wasn't a movie that dealt with the Clone Wars and the fallout from the Clone Wars. But there's definitely still some more story to tell there.
Yeah, I would imagine there's something unturned.
You know the main reason he wants to do Clone Wars stuff?
Why?
He wants to wear the armor. He wants to wear the hybrid clone trooper / Jedi armor.
You know what? Fair.
Yeah.
It's good looking armor.
Yeah, it's true. It's a cool look for sure. But James Arnold Taylor is the only one who's got only Obi-Wan Kenobi who's gotten to rock that look. Yeah. But anyway, James Gunn dropped a character teaser for Peacemaker season 2. Hold on. Billy Rhodes said the Doom spider suit looks like the bad guy from Stretch Armstrong. I can see that. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, they got to take inspiration from somewhere, right? But anyway, James Gunn dropped a teaser on Instagram about the addition of a new character that they are adding to Peacemaker season 2. Landon, if you don't mind putting that up there.
Yeah.
And judging by what we can see in the image, it looks like it may be Apache Chief from the Super Friends cartoon. Apache Chief has the ability to grow big and to grow small. They did a great job on Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, making a joke parodying the famous McDonald's coffee scandal with Apache Chief getting burned in his crotch and then talking about how he couldn't grow big or small anymore, and that's why he was suing. But anyway, it's possible we may see Apache Chief on Peacemaker season 2. Are you familiar with this character?
I am not.
So he's a typical like Native American stereotype that you would expect from the 70s and entertainment. And I don't know. It'll be risque if that's the character they're bringing in. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, naturally they're going to adjust his character and everything, but
Mhm.
it's a swing. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Billy Rhodes said, I say they shouldn't bother with de-aging for Clone Wars. We all know that they're older and it's all pretend anyways. Yeah, I agree that that's probably something they could get away with. They could just be like, a little Just for Men and call it a day,
Yeah, but we all know somebody's going to complain about them not looking age accurate.
I don't see Disney and Star Wars, Lucasfilm, all of that. I don't see them going for that idea. They will definitely spring. If they're going to do it, they will spring to do the de-aging tech. Billy said that would be wild if Hanna-Barbera characters show up in Peacemaker. I think so too. I think that would be nuts. And I think that as an irreverent parody of the Super Friends characters, that could be pretty funny. I'm already seeing where there's going to be some problems. Like Peacemaker's best friend is Eagly the Eagle, and he's racially insensitive to begin with. So I could see that being played for laughs, which it's a little low hanging fruit, but we'll see. Billy said they didn't de-age them for the flashbacks in Obi-Wan. They absolutely did. And Kenpachi says no one complained about Hayden and Ahsoka. The Clone Wars scenes were some of the best in Ahsoka too. Yeah, but they did. It wasn't like as like they didn't put as much de-aging on it, but they did some de-aging for all the Hayden Christensen flashback scenes for sure. Drop my pen. But anyway, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't see Disney going for it. I don't have a problem with them doing the Clone Wars stuff. And if Ewan McGregor is excited about it, I'm excited about it, to be honest. But yeah, I just don't see them going for it, doing an entire series that takes place in the Clone Wars time period after doing a season 1 that takes place, 10 years prior to New Hope.
I mean, I've already said my piece. I'm very much interested in it. I think that era of Star Wars is the most lived in, definitely the most formed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like world building wise.
Billy said, I don't remember Anakin having crow's feet as a Padawan. Absolutely. I don't think they went full bore with the de-aging, but they did some de-aging on the characters for sure. Jody Meredith in the chat said, what's up, bro? What up, Jody? Glad you're here. Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks at Cape Con. We are going to have a blasty. Let's see. What was the next piece I had? Oh, to many heartbroken Scooby-Doo fans out there, Max has officially canceled Velma.
What's even the point anymore?
So following the Velma Halloween special that they just released, which left on a cliffhanger, they will not be pursuing a season 2 of Velma. That series is officially done. But they are launching a new Shaggy and Scooby-Doo series that may or may not include the rest of the cast.
Oh, yeah. Isn't the one where they go to Japan and accidentally release a bunch of kaiju, or not kaiju, yokai?
I am so much not a Scooby-Doo fan. I have
I
no
know.
idea. I have absolutely no idea.
I'm going to Google it now.
Even with all the hype, or not hype, even with all of the what's the word I'm looking for? Even with all of the angry people at how Velma portrayed the Scooby-Doo cast, I never felt interested enough to check it out. I don't like things written by Mindy Kaling in general. And whenever I saw that they were kind of bastardizing the Scooby-Doo franchise with that series, I wanted to give it a chance, but I just could not bring myself to be interested enough to sit down and watch it. So just didn't. Kenpachi said, I don't think Disney would do a live action Clone Wars, but I would love it. Yeah, I don't see it happening either, but that is Ewan McGregor's hope. And he also said, I thought they canceled Velma 3 seasons ago. Yeah, again, it only got 1 season and a Halloween special. And Kenpachi said, for me, Matthew Lillard was the only reason to watch those movies. Yeah, and then Matthew Lillard went on to voice the animated Shaggy past the movies for a little while, which I thought was pretty cool. And I have a lot of love for Matthew Lillard because he's a big D&D nerd, which works for me. I respect anyone that will put their Hollywood celebrity aside and go play D&D and, live that life. Billy said, I did find it strange that they gave Fred a micro penis. I'll have to take your word for it, but yeah, that's a weird choice.
I could believe that happening in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But anyway, moving along, I know that Landon will be excited about this. Primal Season 3 will air in 2025 per Gendy Tartakovsky. And per this statement, which he just gave a couple days ago, they are already halfway done with the third season. So it's coming along. They're excited. So it should be hitting our TV screens early 2025.
Good. This is good.
Yeah, that's exciting news, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like Primal. I need to get caught up on it.
I really like Primal.
Yeah, I love Gendy Tartakovsky's art style. I like, Samurai Jack, and then Primal, and then his the Clone Wars series that he did. Kenpachi said, speaking of D&D, are you watching Legend of Vox Machina season 3? I haven't finished season 1 yet. And I apologize. I watched the campaign as it was being aired, when Matt and the rest of the Critical Role people were doing it, and I just really struggled to watch the cartoon, but I will get around to finishing it. Billy Rhodes said Matthew Lillard is the male equivalent of a scream queen, a scream man queen, if you will. Yes, queen. And then we got on via Instagram, the Cartoon Network Instagram, we got a first look at the 2-minute stop motion animation special they're doing for the 10-year anniversary of Over the Garden Wall. This is being animated by Aardman Studios, the studio behind Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run, and other stop motion classics in that vein. And like I said, this will air. It is a 2-minute special. It is going to air ahead of the 10-minute anniversary premiere of Over the Garden Wall.
I mean, this is fair. I know so many people who every year around this time watches Over the Garden Wall. It's tradition for so many people for the past decade.
Yeah. In my household with my kids, it's a beloved series that we enjoy watching together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see that. If you've not gotten a chance to watch Over the Garden Wall, go check it out. Do not run to your screen. Not now. Wait for the show to be over. Damn it. But when we're done, go watch Over the Garden Wall. It's really good. It's kind of one of those like it just has to be experienced. Like I can't explain it to you, but you really have to sit down and watch it. It's a celebration of like that, like Goonies / child misadventure story that just takes so many fun twists, and it's so just great. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and the best part about this is so many people who love Over the Garden Wall would nerd out over a stop motion special, so they exactly know what their audience wants for this.
Yeah, they used to play and this is prior to like Chicken Run and like Aardman Studios doing other stuff, but like Wallace and Gromit's stuff, which is it's a British stop motion animation, but they used to play it on WGN, and I would watch it like every time it came on, just randomly on a Sunday or whatever. Our human relations specialist and fact checker extraordinaire, Ben Stewart, is in the chat. Ben, glad to have you here. Say hi to the nice folk. Yeah, shut up. There's people talking. But yeah, I love Wallace and Gromit. I have always loved Wallace and Gromit. I love that stop motion style animation anyway. So yeah, I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Moving along, let's see. In our final piece of TV news, Jon Stewart has officially been cast for the DC Universe Lanterns TV series. It will be Aaron Pierre, the star of Netflix's Rebel Ridge. He is also the voice of Mufasa in the new live action Mufasa series that Disney is putting out. But yes, he is going to be sliding on the ring and playing everybody's favorite badass lantern, Jon Stewart, alongside Kyle Chandler, who is playing our classic Hal Jordan lantern character.
Are those the only two lanterns that are going to be in this?
No, they are. It's going to be a what they have announced it as is a True Detective style mystery television series that is going to feature the Green Lantern Corps investigating a mystery. So there will be more lanterns.
Yes, but I mean on like the human end of things. Like, will Guy Gardner also be there?
So
Or
Nathan Fillion is playing Guy Gardner in the Superman movie.
yes.
So it has not been announced as to whether or not he is going to make an appearance. Then there's a couple more human Green Lanterns. Obviously, we have Kyle Rayner
Hmm.
and Baz, whose last name I can never remember, but one of the more recent additions to the Green Lantern Corps. So all of the Earthbound Lanterns, they have some options. Yes, Ben, I don't know if Kyle Rayner is going to make an appearance. The only way I would say Kyle Rayner is going to make an appearance is if this is the story of Hal Jordan becoming Parallax.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, then we might see Kyle getting his ring at the end of the first season. But that just depends. I would hate to think that they're Simon Baz. Thank you, Ben. I would hate to think that they're coming right out of the gate with the Parallax storyline for Hal, but that is exactly what they did in the Tomorrow verse, DC animated. Hal was the bad guy in his first appearance. So it's we'll see. Billy Rhodes says, I can't wait for the Green Lantern equivalent to the Alexandria Daddario scene. You and me both, brother. If that, oof. Wow. Anyway, but yeah, and then last but not least in movie news, Dogma, the Kevin Smith film about the apocalypse, starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and then Alanis Morissette as God, has been bought back from Miramax by another company, an unnamed company currently. They, but because they have purchased it back from the Weinstein Corporation, they are planning a re-release in a theatrical re-release of Dogma and a new DVD set release to celebrate its freedom. And Kevin Smith will be touring and showing the movie again as he has with his other films.
Cool.
Yeah, he hasn't had the rights to it since he finished the film because it was done for Miramax.
Yeah.
And he owns the rights to all of his other films. So, yeah. Jess Jacks in the chat said, and Shannon Doherty, rest in peace. Yeah. F in the chat for Shannon Doherty. But anyway, Landon, what do you got over there in video game news?
Okay, so I just got a couple of pieces of news. Ubisoft is planning to release 10 Assassin's Creed games in the next 5 years.
Is Red going to be one of those?
I'm not too sure.
Or Shadows. It was Shadows, right?
Yeah, but I'm not too sure. I just know that their current plan is somehow pumping out 10, 2 a year on average.
Yeah, they have gotten so far afield with the Assassin's Creed games. That being said, what we still don't know if we're going to get Shadows. Is it Shadows or Shadow?
I think it's Shadows.
Okay, we don't know when we're going to get Shadows, but that was the one I've been most excited about. But if that brings the quality that we're looking for with our Assassin's Creed franchise, then I'm excited about these other 5 games that we're going to get. But if that game is also as boring as Valkyrie or Valhalla, then I may not be all that excited about it.
I mean, is it only one? I should have looked this up before reporting on this, but is there only one studio that puts out Assassin's Creed games, or do they have
typically, yeah, it's just Ubisoft.
Okay, I didn't know if they had like other studios that they also like contract in to also put out games.
No, not normally. It's usually just the one studio. That being said, like whenever Assassin's Creed first dropped, it had a mobile game that came out with it. There were I want to say Game Boy Advanced, I think, Assassin's Creed games at first. So I mean, they have dabbled. Just Jack said one is a Black Flag remake and one is a mobile game. So there you go.
Okay.
But so I know they've let other people handle the IP, but I don't think in like the official releases they have.
All right. That makes sense. But if it's like just Jax just said, and it's like a decent chunk along that that sort of vein of like a remake or a mobile game, then maybe this isn't as ambitious as we thought it was.
Yeah, after Assassin's Creed 1 dropped, they dropped a side-scrolling phone game that was set in you played as Altair, the original assassin, and I played it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I could see them dropping another mobile game, and then a Black Flag remake. If that's what they're counting as one of the games they're going to release every 2 years, that's really shit. Like, absolutely, that's not a new game. Don't give us news that we're getting 5 new Assassin's Creed games, and they're not AAA titles. They're like,
I mean, I never said they were new Assassin's Creed games.
But when you announce that you're getting 5 releases, when you announce that you're getting 5 releases over 10 years, and
10 releases over 5 years.
So they're doing 2 a year?
Yeah.
I thought you said it was the other way around. They're doing 1 every 2 years.
No, it's 10 games in 5 years.
Okay, sorry, I got it backwards. But when you announce that you're giving us 10 games in 5 years, you make it sound like you're giving us a bunch of AAA titles. If one of those is like Assassin's Creed, the card game, and then one of them is like, Assassin's Creed, the carnival game. I don't know. It's like, that's not the same thing. Don't get my hopes up.
I don't know. If it ended up being that they just released like a mainline game every other year or so, or every 3 years or so, and all the other ones were auxiliary games or novelty games, like a card game or something like that, it sounds like they would just like be at their current rate, but just add more stuff to it, if that makes sense.
I don't know. We'll see. I love Assassin's Creed. I really hope that this is all very, very good news. We'll see.
Yeah.
I remain apprehensive.
Okay. All right, moving on. Bethesda's main takeaway from Starfield is that people really, really, really want Elder Scrolls 6. That is coming from Emil Pagliarulo. He has been the head writer for Bethesda games since Skyrim. And that's personally to me, that's a little worrying that's his main takeaway.
Yeah. Yes. I can agree with that. Also, that's not news to me. So I don't think it should be news to the guy that runs the studio that makes it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously people are like dying for more Elder Scrolls. People are still playing Skyrim religiously. Like, nobody has ever stopped playing Skyrim, and like they're still playing it.
Hell, there's people who haven't stopped playing Daggerfall.
Right. Yes. Morrowind, people are still playing that. Like, the idea that we're going to get another Elder Scrolls game and that's what people want to see is not surprising to me, and certainly shouldn't be a surprise to the person running the studio that makes the game.
I think he was just trying to be a little cheeky with it.
Yeah.
But like, still, if your main takeaway is just people really want Elder Scrolls, and that's why we got so many negative reviews and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Just Jack said the streaming Skyrim grandma just retired.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your retirement.
What are you looking for?
I'm just reading Billy's comment. I honestly don't think Billy said, honestly don't think I'll live long enough to see Elder Scrolls, especially not 7 or Fallout 5. Yeah, I think you will, Billy. You're in it for the long haul. But anyway, what were you saying?
I mean, that's kind of all I got. Emil Pagliarulo, he was also the guy who was ardently defending Starfield against reviews and everything, negative reviews and everything. So I don't know what to take from this.
Well, like, Starfield didn't deliver on the promise that it made, in that you would be able to like explore a massive universe and go to like millions of different planets and just be like out in the wild for forever and never run out of worlds to visit.
I mean, he said in his now infamous tweet defending the game, it was people talking about how it's boring to land on a world that's just rock and nothing out there. And his response to that was, you know what else was just rock? The moon. Were astronauts bored when they got to the moon? No, they weren't. It was amazing. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like this infamous tweet at this point.
Yeah. It's I shouldn't we shouldn't have to, as consumers, explain to an entertainment company that the thing we get from them should be entertaining. Is there a mechanic that makes landing on a rock-based planet with no life exciting? Can we do scientific tests and collect data and explore the world in a realistic sense and be explorers and scientists in it? Because if you're not giving me that and I just get to fly my spaceship there and do some missions and look around, like that's not not the thing I want to do. You know, I want the experience of being a space explorer. And then also, like, you're giving us another universe, another galaxy with new planets and an opportunity to give us new life forms and to make that like dynamic and fun and build an engine that like randomly generates or whatever per world you go to. That would be fun, but that's not what Skyfield gave us, or Starfield gave us.
It just wasn't.
Right. But that's the promise they made, was that was the game we're getting, though. The promise they made was like, this is going to be massive and you'll be exploring it forever. And then it was like, this is like the same world. It's like 10 of these are exactly the same. Like,
the game's as wide as a puddle, as wide as an ocean, and as deep as a puddle.
Yeah. But anyway, so what else you got, Landon?
That's all the news I really had. There was a little bit about the Nintendo alarm clock, if you saw that.
I did not.
Nintendo announced that they're releasing an alarm clock with like a Mario motif, and it plays Nintendo noises and stuff like that.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I didn't write any information on that down, but
I used to have a SpongeBob alarm clock that sung the Fun song. That got old very quickly. Got old real quick.
You were the coolest fucking kid on the block, weren't
Absolutely, especially since I was in my mid-20s. But anyway, this has been the bullet points. Unload us, Layden. We're getting better. I'm zeroing in. I'm zeroing in on the thing I want to say at the end of bullet points. Deontay the Giant in the chat says, so happy with our current lanterns. And Billy said, who the fuck even uses an alarm clock anymore? Me, Billy, because I, ignore my phone when it goes off. So I have to have an actual physical alarm clock across the room from me. Just Jack said, I just started my second try at Starfield. I was overwhelmed and bored the first time. That's kind of the experience everybody's having with it, but let us know. Come back and let us know how your second attempt has gone. Maybe you'll find something that the rest of the world has not. Yeah.
I mean, it was cool seeing all the different things people were finding in the game.
Yeah. Yep. The couple of things they found. So the Landon, were you aware that they dropped a sequel to the Academy Award winning film Joker last week?
No, I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, so they did, and I saw it very recently, and I'm going to tell you about it. So spoilers for Joker 2, Folie, Deux, and B, my opinion is not equal to what I have seen on the internet. Yes, I do not necessarily agree with what I am seeing. I think, so again, spoilers, if you're still here, get ready, because I'm going to talk about the movie. Landon, have you seen it yet?
I haven't. No, I planned on possibly going to see it in theaters, but time just got away from me.
Are you going to be upset if I spoil it?
No.
Okay. So Folie, Deux is a direct sequel to Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix film that it did a lot. It a lot of people got really excited about the idea that they were also the Joker because the world has been too hard for them and they just want to kill and blow up people too. That message didn't necessarily reflect well with Hollywood. because that's not what they aim to make films about. It was kind of a bad look. And so then there was an overarching idea that they set out with Joker 2, Folie Deux, to kind of fly in the face of that fandom. I don't see that being the case. I don't think that is what that was. I think people get really excited about the idea that they were going to like, that people were going to get like, they were going to stick it to those people that were like kind of, the incels of the Joker fandom. And I don't think that was the message. I watched this movie. It is a boring courtroom drama with some mental health issues thrown into it. That being said, it's not awful. It certainly isn't the worst film I've ever seen. The new Crow movie, maybe the worst thing I've ever seen. Anyway, but it's not the worst film I've ever seen. I've sat through worse movies. Did Joaquin Phoenix do a great job? Absolutely. Is his Arthur Fleck character fully fleshed out and living in this world that he has created from Joker 1? Yes. Is Lady Gaga awesome as Harley Quinn? Yeah, she's a fun Harley Quinn. Deontay said Harvey was a damn good district attorney, though. He was a good lawyer. He wasn't a fucking creep the way he is in the new Batman series. He's not a one-off joke like he is in a lot of other Batman stuff. He was a real lawyer. I think he was a better early Harvey Dent than the Aaron Eckhart version that we got in the Christopher Nolan films. Was Lady Gaga ever Harley Quinn in the movie? Not really. We never got to the Harley Quinn character. She didn't have the psychotic split that led to her dressing like a clown and doing funny clown-based jokes with the Joker, and and it really flips the relationship between Harley and the Joker in that Lee, the Harley Quinn character, is the abuser and the Joker is the victim, or the Arthur Fleck character is the victim. So that's a little different, definitely. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in the second Suicide Squad movie is a much better Harley Quinn than the Harley Quinn we got in this film. That being said, she's still awesome. Lady Gaga is an awesome actress. Just Jack said Joker 3 or Harley spin-off possibilities. I think this is it. I think this world, these characters, this version of the Joker is done. I don't think they're going to do anything more in this world. I don't think we're going to go on to see the Scarecrow or another character. I don't think we're going to see Batman on screen with these characters. I think that's it. Like, this movie is like done. But it was, all I will say is that where the first one tried to ground the character of the Joker as being a realistic character in a real world scenario of the 1980s New York that we got him in. This is just a movie that deals with the fallout of the first film. It is literally just telling that story to the end, to its conclusion, and finishes up Arthur's tale. Arthur's crazy and free roaming, and everybody's overlooking him in the first movie. And in this movie, it's just, he has everyone's attention. He can't just go do crazy things and kill people on subways and all of that kind of stuff. He's really stuck with the system, and they are medicating him and watching him. And, it's going to be a little more boring than when he's running around New York murdering people and setting off bombs and shit. So I think that people sharing this message that this was an attack on the fan base of the first one are way off. I don't think that was the case at all. And people that are upset that this isn't as wild as the first Joker movie, this is the logical conclusion to the way the first story went. If they went any other direction, it would just been slapstick and stupid. So I think this is the story they had to tell, and I don't think it's great, but I think it was watchable. I think it was enjoyable. I don't think it deserves the hate that it's getting. And I think that this one might come back around later. I think that post theatrical release, it's already considered a flop. The opening weekend was worse than Morbius. It has already not made any money on a very big budget. So it's a flop. They're not planning to follow up with more movies. But that being said, I think it's watchable. I think that if you sit down and watch Joker and Joker 2 back to back, it's just going to be an enjoyable story. And it tells the ending of Arthur Fleck's life and how he, in the end, has to take responsibility for his own actions, and he can't blame this, caricature of a killer clown that he invented for all of his problems. Billy Rhodes said Madam Web had a better opening, and that's true. And I will say the musical stuff, that's another thing. They sold this as it was going to be a musical, but it's not. Like, all the musical scenes are either a crazy person singing in the middle of a room full of people, and that's part of like the fact that they're not mentally well, or it is a delusion that takes place inside Arthur's head because that's how he saw the world in the first movie. But as far as this being a musical, it's very far from that. I think it worked well. I think the story was well done. I think that it makes sense with the first movie and the second movie put together. I think it makes sense, and I think that we're going to look at this very differently in a few years. I think we're going to look back on it, and I think maybe give it a little more appreciation. And unfortunately, the court of public opinion is currently winning, and the internet, the minute this movie premiered, was rife with people saying how stupid this movie is, and I just don't see it. I don't agree at all. I will watch it again. I thought it was good. So
I will say, from your description of it, it sounds like a lot of the hate for this comes from the fact that the first movie was Arthur pretty much doing what he wanted to do. And the second movie is him actually facing consequences for his actions.
yes,
Which I'm sure a lot of people who unironically post stuff about like the Joker and unironically say shit like we live in a society probably don't like the idea of facing consequences for their actions.
correct. Yeah.
So naturally they would hate something like this.
Yes. So again, I'd say watch it for yourself. Obviously, my opinion does not match that of everyone else. I love stuff that people just do not like. By and large, my tastes are not the same as other people's. But for me, I don't see it. I don't get it. There is a lot of talking heads on the internet who are just destroying this film, and I just it's sensationalism. They're doing it to get views, and don't buy into the hype. Just go watch it or pirate it or however you choose to watch the film or wait for it to hit streaming. But it is not, and I think I can pretty safely say it is not as bad as people are making it out to be. It's just kind of boring. That's the only criticism I have for it. The characters were the characters. They did the things that they did in the first movie. But it's just it's a very reserved film for a movie that the first one is like a wild madcap adventure for a crazy person, and this one is like day by day court drama, so Ben said this guy loves She-Hulk so much. I still love She-Hulk. I think it's a great series. Again, another series I don't think deserved the hate it got. It was absolutely note for note what the She-Hulk comics are. And if you didn't know that going in and you didn't understand the She-Hulk comics and you're not a fan of the She-Hulk comics, you're judging it unfairly. If you're like, oh no, the MCU is not like this. Well, She-Hulk is. That's what they gave us. But anyway, moving along. So that is my review of Joker Folie à Deux. Landon, do you have anything you'd like to add besides the mic drop moment you gave us a while ago?
I mean, I have nothing more to add. Thank you, Deontay. But yeah, I think I said my piece already.
So we got episode 4 of Agatha All Along last week. It was the 70s musical episode. It was a blast. God, I am loving this series. I love everything they're doing with it. I love the characters. I love the cinematography. I love the set. I love how they keep going back to the same house and it's different. It's fun. It invokes that genre thing they did with WandaVision, but they're doing it in a different way for Agatha All Along. I think that it fits so well with what WandaVision gave us. And that being said, like it's growing the Midnight Suns and occult side of Marvel by leaps and bounds, and I'm really excited about that because we need that on screen. Landon, the last time we talked about Agatha All Along, I was talking about Mephisto, and you were giving me a little grief about how we mention, or if I keep mentioning Mephisto, he's eventually going to come up, right?
Yeah.
He was mentioned in this episode by name. They said Mephisto's name in this episode. Now, there have been a lot of people online who have speculated that is a fun little nod to the fans, and that's all it's going to be. I was reading an article with the showrunner. I was reading an article about the showrunner who said that they didn't necessarily intend to include Mephisto in the story, and the MCU heads, Kevin Feige and the rest of that group, told them they had to include the Mephisto mention. So this is indicative of the larger scale inclusion of Mephisto in the Agatha All Along and following MCU stories. I don't know that we'll see him in this series, but I'm willing to bet we will. I think we're going to see Mephisto in Agatha All Along.
We might see him in Agatha All Along, or remind me again, Stephen Strange was referenced in Winter Soldier, right?
Yes.
How long was it before we got Doctor Strange?
3 years, I think.
Okay, so
3 or 4 years.
So this could also be years off before we see Mephisto.
It could be. It could be, but I don't think that's the case. And I might just be hyping it up again. But they lit the fires again by mentioning him by name in an MCU promotion or series. It's not due to a Funko Pop art leak. We know that it's not Aubrey Plaza because we know who that character is now. But it is. I think we're still going to see him. I think we will see the Mephisto character on screen at some point in the series, even if it's at the very end. If it's a post-credit nod to him, I think that Mephisto's coming, and I think that they are. They made an effort to include him in this. Just Jack said I lost my access to Disney Plus this week because of Deadpool's drop. Yes, as we previously reported, Disney was changing their Disney Plus was changing their streaming service to where if you are not in the house of the account holder, you have to pay another $7 a month to be able to use their account. And Jody Meredith said they mentioned Moon Knight and Winter Soldier 2. It was even longer on him. That's true. We did get a bit longer span between the mention of Mark Spector and the appearance of Mark Spector on screen. That being said, I don't agree that is what we're getting with Mephisto.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. That being said, spoilers for the rest of the series. Billy Roth said, well, if you are right, Danny, that I can't wait for Mephisto to do the Alexandria Daddario scene. Yes, sure. I mean, all of it. Spoilers for the character reveal that we have not gotten yet. Landon, I apologize if you're not aware of this. But again, a spoiler for the Aubrey Plaza character. Funko Pop dropped the character art for their release of the Agatha All Along Pops, and the Aubrey Plaza Pop is clearly labeled as Lady Death, the living embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe, the same Lady Death that Thanos was trying to please in the Infinity Gauntlet saga in the comics when he killed half the universe. That's who Aubrey Plaza is playing in this series, which is crazy because we didn't get her during Infinity War or Endgame, and they could have included the character for that, and Thanos' whole motivation would have made way more sense than his intent to rid half the universe's population for it to then become overpopulated again. That plan made no sense. But instead, they have held on to that character who has been a love interest to not only Thanos, but also Deadpool, but now also Agatha Harkness in Agatha All Along, and I think it's really exciting that they're going with the bigger MCU entities, the eternal entities that show up in the Marvel comics, because we haven't really seen a lot of that. We got a little bit of that in Thor: Love and Thunder, but we haven't gotten that much more. And the fact that we're getting this more like a dark occult Marvel stories, and they're introducing these larger eternal entities into that now is so exciting, because Aubrey Plaza is not going anywhere. She's planning to be in Marvel stuff beyond Agatha All Along. She has already said that. And now we know that that's because Lady Death is going to be making appearances throughout the MCU. And that's, for me, that's pretty exciting. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's a character that it's kind of well known in the comics, but hasn't made a transition to even cartoons. That's, I mean, a character that is literally Death is kind of hard to deal with and stuff that is kind of aimed at children. But we're getting her in the MCU, and I think that's really cool. We may end up getting the one above all and the one below all, and the Eternity and all the other characters. I know we're probably going to get the Beyonder, so that's all that's exciting for me. That as a huge comic nerd, that is really exciting for me that the MCU is growing in that direction. I hope they don't fuck it up, but God, Aubrey Plaza is the perfect actress to play that.
Yeah, wider ranging. Sorry, I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this, but like wider characters with a lot of reach like that, plus more so on like the magical spiritual side of things. Whenever this has been a series very steeped in like more tech so far, is definitely a more interesting direction to go.
Yeah, and Ben said, I've been trying my whole life to seduce the Grim Reaper. Instead, she just stands at the end of my bed sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night. Those sleep paralysis demons are a real thing. Ben says the one to blow all. Interesting. Alex Daddario scene portray potential. No, and anyway, so also the episode, they work through the protection spell. They kill I forget the character's name, but the protection witch's curse. They kill it off. They're handling each witch's challenge per episode. So we've got a few more to go through. Obviously, the new episode premieres now. We'll wrap up here fairly soon, and then you can go watch it. But they are still working with the mystery of who Teen really is. Spoiler alert, again, if you don't know who Teen is, you can step away for a second. But it is going to be Billy Kaplan, the resurrected son of Scarlet Witch. So it's Wiccan from the comics. But anyway, they're still working on that whole thing, and they are on to their next genre / decade / trial this week. But the show has been a blast so far. It is just, even if this wasn't MCU, it would just be so enjoyable. But the fact that it's inside of the MCU canon makes it so much more enjoyable for me. I just love seeing that side of that universe explored and moved a little bit further along, which is what we needed. And obviously we've got to be working towards bringing Scarlet Witch back, right? I hope so. But anyway, so looking forward to the rest of Agatha All Along, and we will move on to Rings of Power. So they wrapped up season 2 of Rings of Power this last week. For those of you who are not huge Lord of the Rings nerds, it may not be that exciting to you, but it's very exciting to me. We finally learned the identity of the stranger, the wizard that has the amnesiac wizard that has been wandering around Middle Earth with a couple of pre-hobbits. There was some theories that he may be one of the blue wizards, that he obviously could not be Gandalf because Gandalf wasn't around for this part of history in Middle Earth. Spoiler for that, the character actually is Gandalf. He gets his name, which is Grand Elf, and then it changes to Gandalf. And he gets his staff, which is very close to the Peter Jackson movie wizard staff, which is what he was on a quest to find. The Stores and the Harfoots, which are the pre-Shire hobbits, are now making their way to go find the Shire. The second age is done, and the third age is beginning. We saw the fall of what is the name of that city? I can't remember. We saw the fall of the Elven city that was foretold. We're beginning to see the fall of Numenor in this episode. Um, Jesus Christ, what is his name? Anyway, Isildur's father received Narsil, the sword that will one day become Aragorn's sword, Anduril. No. Yes. Anyway, the sword that will someday become Aragorn's sword, and he received it and is taking it to Middle Earth from Numenor. The Elrond character is kind of rounding out and finding his ability to lead. He's dealing with the fact that he's like 6 steps down the ladder from being the leader of the elves, as opposed to when we found him in Rivendell in Fellowship of the Rings, where he's actually the leader of the Rivendell elves. Galadriel is learning all about how to be a better warrior, and how to deal with darkness and not be led by the nose the way that Sauron has been leading her the entire series. We will eventually, I think, get the Galadriel that we're familiar with from the movies, but she's currently not that. She's very hot-headed, and she's quick to anger, and she's ready to fight all the time, and it's really cool. I love the character, and we got a lot of Sauron. We got a lot more Sauron than we have gotten in any other Lord of the Rings property, including the books. We got his whole transition from his first form, where he was just a wizard, to his second form, and then leading on to him becoming the massive Dark Lord that we see in the beginning of Lord of the Rings. It's all coming together, and I there's been a couple of times watching this where I've been like, where are they going with all this? Like, how are they going to tie this together? And they did. They it's making sense. It seems like it's on a path to become Lord of the Rings as we know it. They're putting the loose elements they had all over the place together now, and the cast is great, the scenery's great, the acting's good. Tom Bombadil was awesome. If I have any criticisms about the series, it's that it gets a little slow at times. They need to move it along, but then again, you're dealing with J.R.R. Tolkien's properties, which tend to be a little slow anyway. Billy Rhodes said, what I learned was that the other rings are a lot more opulently decorated than the One Ring. Absolutely. The whole secret behind the One Ring is that it was made to look plain and uninteresting compared to all the other rings Sauron made, so that no one would know that it is the one ring that is in control of all the other ones. It was intentionally hidden as a plain, unadorned gold ring. Because all of the other ones have pieces of Silmarils and Mithril and magic in them, and the One Ring is just a plain gold band. And it's Billy said, I also like Tom's Hedgehog teapot. Yeah, that seemed like they took it right out of Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah, enjoying the series, looking forward to the next season. The action scenes are great. They are obviously they're using a little more CGI to fill in the fight scenes than they did in the Peter Jackson movies, but they're to scale of what we got at Helm's Deep. They're fun, and the orcs look like orcs, and the Ents look like Ents, and Tom Bombadil look like a big jolly fat man like he's supposed to, and their Gandalf looks like Gandalf, and the hobbits are hobbiting. It's all there. All the pieces are there. They're doing a great job. It is a labor of love, and you can tell that they're putting the time and care and effort into knowing the lore of Lord of the Rings to make this whole thing work. And I appreciate it. I really, really do. I love the series. I think after some notable letdowns in like Wheel of Time and Legend of the Seeker and Aragon, 3 fantasy series that I actually kind of liked. I mean, I love Wheel of Time, and Sword of Truth is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. And Aragon was all right, but it was definitely better than the movies that we got. It's nice to see that we're returning to fantasy that honors the source material and takes care and time to fold the broader lore of the universe into their story and tell us some new adventures that we haven't seen before with these characters. So I strongly recommend, go check it out. It's good. And Ben said, yeah, just like they did Wheel of Time. No, they are like right off the bat, they moved away from the books in Wheel of Time. It was like they changed so many things that it's like, how are you ever going to get back to the end of this story where all of these things matter if you throw them out the window at the beginning of the series? I could stay on my soapbox all day about how bad Wheel of Time is, though, so we'll move away from that. Actually, speaking of things that thought they were great that turned out not to be, on the hit list this week, we're talking about our top 5 characters that thought they were him or her, but they ain't. Welcome to the hit list. We are talking about the top 5 characters that think they're him. And this list should be a lot of fun, I think, especially if you're drinking that haterade. You can probably have a lot of fun with this list. I did almost put some very notable inclusions that probably would have angered the fan base, and then I decided on some ones that I think fit my category better. So I'm not. Hopefully, I'm not having anybody rage quit the show, and I apologize if I do. Billy says I feel called out. Billy, this list, you're not on it. You're not on my list. You're definitely that guy. You're him. But Landon, I'm sure you have put some thought into this. Could you please give me your number 5?
All right, my number 5. Where's the pictures? Oh God, I lost them. My number 5 is the Riddler.
Oh shit.
He's the guy that constantly needs to prove that he's the smartest person in the room. All right. He's making riddles that he knows the answers to because that's the only way he knows them. In his own backstory, the only way he got to understand the riddles and questions he was interested in as a kid was because he cheated and looked up the answers in like the back of the book or whatever. The thing about being a villain is that you have to have some kind of ego. You have to think you're better than a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the natural thing for villains. But like the Riddler's that very special.
Talk about calling
kind.
people out. Anyway.
But the Riddler is that just very special kind that we as regular people also have to deal with. Because we've all met that one person that has to constantly prove that they're the smartest person in the room. And that's the Riddler in this case.
Yes, Edward Nygma, an egomaniac and lover of riddles, very much falls into that Edgar Rice Burroughs. Who wrote? Never mind. It very well falls into that idea that like, yeah, he knows all the answers because he looked them up first, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing that infuriates him the most about Batman is that Bruce hasn't looked up the answers and he still knows all the answers to his riddles. He just figures them out on the fly.
The thing is, Batman doesn't even need to know the answers to most of the riddles. He figures out a workaround every time and still knows the answers.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, and that's the cool thing about Bruce. He never has to prove he's the smartest person in the room. He just does it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, absolutely. What do we have in chat?
Deontay's number 5 is Jinx from Arcane.
Ooh, yeah. That's a bold statement. Jinx was kind of a badass in season 1 of Arcane. So why do you think that she's not all that, Deontay, if you don't mind? And yeah, she was a badass. She literally brought it when she was like don't fuck with me. I will kill you and your whole family. And then she literally like did that. So
I haven't seen Arcane.
oh, you should check it out. It's really good.
Joey's been wanting me to watch it. It's just on the ever-growing list of things to watch.
Season 2 is about to drop, so it's the time to check it out if you're going to.
It's the time
before you get more behind.
Mm-hmm. Just Jax's number 5 is Dr. Evil from Austin Powers.
Ooh. Yes, Dr. Evil is patently does not fucking get it. He is a poster child for the Dunning-Kruger effect, I think. But yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Ben Stewart's number 5 is Gojo. He's the GOAT, not the main character, though.
Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, you're right. Gojo definitely thinks he's him, and he's not the main character. But he does have that main character energy, and just never, he's not, absolutely. I think that's a great choice, Ben.
That's everything in chat right now.
All right. If any more drop, let me know. My number 5 comes from the world of Dragon Ball Z, and it is the man himself who defeated Cell and saved the Earth, Hercule Satan. Yes, voiced in America by Chris Rager, good friend of the show. He is, he's a amalgam of 80s action heroes and martial artists that think they're something special and they just aren't. Anyway, so Hercule Satan is my number 5. And if you know from the Dragon Ball Z universe, he claimed to have defeated Cell, and we all know that was actually Gohan, Teen Gohan specifically, with one broken arm, finished that fight. And the world champ himself, did not do what he thinks he did. But anyway.
Oh, that's right. Oh, God, Billy, I'm sorry.
Oh, we do have another number 5.
Yeah, sorry. It completely slipped my mind. I am awful. I'm so sorry. Here it is. Billy Rhodes, number 5, is Joshua Weissman, as seen on his YouTube channel.
I don't know who that is.
I do not know who Joshua Weissman is either.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Billy said, well, thank God I'm here then. But anyway, Landon. I'm sorry, Billy. You might have to explain it in the chat. Landon, what do you have as your number 4?
All right. My number 4. If any of you ever played Hollow Knight, you know him. It's Zote.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see Zote throughout your adventures in the game of Hollow Knight, and he is absolutely pathetic. The first time you meet him, he's being captured by a giant beast. The second time you meet him, if you don't mess up other story stuff, you fight him in a coliseum where you whoop him immediately.
Yeah.
And then after that, he goes off and convinces somebody else that he's so great that she imagines a more powerful version of him that you have to fight later.
I love Hollow Knight. That game is so fun.
It's great.
But Hollow Knight is him, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Billy says he's a cooking YouTuber. I bet he's great too.
I'm so sorry, Billy. Listen, I am really messing up right now. I am very off today. You'll have to excuse me for that. If I mess up, please insult me as much as possible in the comments. I'll understand.
Do it.
Anyway, Billy Rhodes, number 5. Again, terribly sorry. Joshua Weissman, as seen on his YouTube channel. Dude, I get it. You worked at a restaurant. The restaurant got a star, and then you quit thinking it belonged to you. Oh, and then you quit thinking it belonged to you. I've done it before, and let me tell you, no one fucking cares. Out of a 15-minute video, you put in over 50 jump cuts and jokes so bad, I feel like I'm reading a lol so random Tumblr girl post in 2009. And your recipes are mediocre at best. At least the ones you aren't stealing from J. Kenzie Lopez. Yeah, we all noticed. He's just too nice to say something about it. So, Josh, I know you're watching, and I know you're saying this, but I'm the only one on camera. Of course, I'm the main character. I would rather watch the camera film your empty kitchen for 10 minutes than any of your videos.
Oh my God.
And your mustache is shit. Please, for your own sake, just shave it.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Billy. Yes. Yes. If I should have anticipated if I was going to make a list where you get to be a hater. That's Billy's list. This is I feel like I didn't realize it, and I picked this list just for him. Anyway, what number? Oh, did you do your number 4?
Yeah, I did my number 4.
What's the number 4s we have in chat?
All right.
Sorry guys, we took a week off. I'm getting my flow again.
Ben Stewart's number 4 is Adolin until Kaladin shows up.
That's so he's talking about the Stormlight Archive. Adolin Kalin, the son of the High Prince Dalinar Kalin, is the greatest duelist in all of Roshar, and then Kaladin, the greatest soldier to have ever existed, shows up and makes him look like a small little man. But then also, Ben's right. Amaram is actually a better choice. He really does think he's him, and he's the only savior. Yeah, Amaram's a piece of shit. If you have or have not read the Stormlight Archive, also fuck Moash. What else we got?
Deontay's number 4 is Daemon Targaryen, House of the Dragon.
Ooh, we're calling out Daemon now. I think yes. So Daemon is the prince that wants to be king. His brother was king, and then his niece got to be queen, and he never got to be either. That being said, he is the greatest swordsman in the House of the Dragon series, or at that time in Westeros. And he's the greatest swordsman in Westeros. And he's he's a badass, but you're right. At the end of the day, he's not him. He's that falls squarely in his niece's lap as the queen of all of Westeros.
Just Jax's number 4 is President Snow, Hunger Games.
Yeah, so I've never finished the Hunger Games series. I know President Snow obviously is the president that presides over the world that the tournament takes place in. Ben says, well, you will see next season that Daemon is in fact him. Maybe, possibly. But anyway, yes, so I don't know enough about President Snow to comment on this, but I totally agree that you know enough about it to be the one to judge that. What else we got?
That's all the number 4s in chat. I'll go ahead and say Billy's number 4.
Yes, please.
Billy Rhodes' number 4 is Bam Margera from Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Ooh.
It was already bad enough that they bothered to add a storyline to the Tony Hawk games, and here we are. Bam Margera is the alternate hero that you can follow. Bam, listen. We all love you when you're in the background shot while Johnny Knoxville is getting hit in the balls. Or if you're making fun of Don Vito on your own show. But to think that people are going to choose you over Tony fucking Hawk? That is absolutely absurd. Also, it's 2024. Nobody cares anyway.
Damn! Got Bam on that list too. Okay. I'm really excited for Billy's number 1. I'm excited for everybody's number 1s. But let's move along to our number 3s. Oh, my number 4, actually. My number 4 comes from the world of Marvel Comics. and that is the character Romulus. If you're not familiar with this character, he decided to pretend that he was the progenitor of a race of people that were evolved from wolves as opposed to primates, and that all characters like Wolverine and Sabretooth and Wild Child and other characters that grow claws as part of their mutant abilities fall into that race. He was lying. He was doing all of this just to fuck with Wolverine. And when Wolverine finally caught him, he beat the living shit out of him and made a joke out of him. So Romulus was the big bad for the Wolverine Origins comic series. And then in the end, he just was not that impressive. If you don't mind putting that image back up, in the image that I've put here, so you can see Romulus has 3 claws plus 1 on his thumb. You can go take it back down now. Wolverine makes fun of him because those are not his actual claws like Wolverine Pop's claws. Those are just mounted to the gloves. And it's kind of lame. He was trying to be a Wolverine knockoff who thought he was tough. And Logan is the best there is at what he does. And he very quickly showed Romulus that he was not even remotely close. Landon, what do you have as your number 3?
All right. My number 3 is Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Ooh.
This guy creates an invention that he thinks is going to impress his idol. And then he decides to try to show his idol in the middle of him trying to stop a villain from breaking in a bank and causing a lot of destruction. He thinks that's the best time to do it. And then whenever he messes up and Mr. Incredible has to save him, he's so butthurt about it that he's like, okay, I'm killing all the other superheroes. Like straight up just killing them all.
Yes.
And then once I've driven them all away underground and killed them or whatever, then I'm going to make myself a hero just to turn around and sell my invention to everyone else so that nobody can be special ever again. Because if I can't be special, nobody deserves to be special. That is Syndrome's whole thing.
Yes. Syndrome is such a joke as far as comic book villains go. And I realize the Incredibles is not necessarily a comic book property. It was a movie, but they're basically the Fantastic Four. I will say Syndrome is voiced by Jason Lee of Mallrats and Chasing Amy fame. He was also Earl in My Name is Earl, one of my favorite actors, and he did a great job with the character. But Syndrome, such a fucking joke, dude. Like, even in the end, like he thinks he's this big bad, and then his machine is actually more dangerous than he is, and he loses control of it. Yeah. Excellent. What do we have in chat?
Ben Stewart's number 3 is Knuckles, aka Sonic's Red Spike Knuckle Baby Boy.
Yes, Knuckles the Echidna, played in or voiced in the live action Sonic films by Idris Elba, is kind of a big idiot, and he definitely is not on Sonic's level as far as being a hero goes.
Also, thank you, Jax. Just Jax's number 3 is Joffrey Baratheon. Baratheon, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I've never been so excited to see a TV character die as I was whenever Joffrey died. That actor, I'm drawing a blank on his name right this second. He played a character in the Dark Knight franchise and then moved on to Game of Thrones to play Joffrey Baratheon. Is actually a really nice guy. Really, really genuine human being. He, volunteers a lot of time. He helps a lot of charities. He's out there in the streets helping. But Joffrey was a huge piece of shit, and he deserved everything that he had coming his way. Nothing but joy seeing Joffrey die.
I always feel like I hear a lot of stories of people playing villains who are actually really good people. And I don't know if that's because, like, they get their villainous tendencies out and are fine playing villains so they don't have that big of an ego.
Yeah.
Or if it's because they're just such, like, a difference between who they are and who they play, that those stories just get more traction. But
that's true. You look at Anthony Hopkins playing Hannibal Lecter, according to Jack Gleason. Thank you, Ben. According to everyone who knows Anthony Hopkins, he's an old sweetheart. You know, God, who are some more notable screen villains? Obviously, Tom Hiddleston is a really nice guy. I would say Tommy Lee Jones tried to get away from playing villains so much because he was kind of typecast as being a bad guy in everything that he did. But I also don't know that Tommy Lee Jones is inherently a good person outside of film and TV. I haven't heard any great stories about him. Billy said it's called acting, guys. Yes, Billy, it is. You're correct. But also, like, sometimes people play some really fucking dark characters, and it's like, how do you put yourself in that headspace and then you're like second only to John Cena for Make-A-Wish donations, you know? I don't know. But yes, it is acting. You're correct.
Deontay's number 3 is King from One Punch Man.
Another great example, but it's so funny because you look at One Punch Man, which is Evan Peters. There's a great one. Sarah Paulson also, from what I understand, very nice human being outside of her American Horror Story characters. But One Punch Man being a spoof on the idea that every shonen hero starts out weak and has to work their ass off to become the most powerful. And instead, in One Punch Man, Saitama is the most powerful at the beginning and is bored because of it. And he lives in this world where nobody knows he exists. All these other characters, you know, if Saitama wasn't there, they would be the most powerful character, like King. But you know, you got to subvert expectations because Saitama is the most powerful in all of existence. And unfortunately for King, he can only ever be second best.
Just how it goes when you're not the protagonist.
It's true. And then Saitama being bald and not having giant spiky protag hair. Like, everything about Saitama is so fun. But watch people fucking minds explode if you ever bring Saitama into any versus conversation in anime. When people are like, so like Goku and Luffy and like Ichigo, like they're all fighting, like who'd win? And you're like, well, what if Saitama showed up? No, don't bring Saitama into it. He's meant to be the strongest. You can't argue him. It's like, I mean, I can. You can't stop me. This is America. I can mention one of my favorite anime characters if I want to. Stupid. Anyway,
why don't the villains in One Punch Man just not get punched?
Saitama tries not to throw punches if he can avoid it because he wins in one punch no matter what. And there's a lot of fight scenes in there, especially the better fight scenes in it, where he's not hitting the villain. And it's like that's what's so great about it, because he can finish any fight with one punch. And he gets really upset because he wants to have really cool superhero fights and he can't.
Yeah, I saw the clips of him getting depressed after winning a fight.
Yeah. And I don't know that we'll ever actually get Saitama's full origin in the anime. He's basically Japanese Superman, but that's also Goku. So anyway, Landon, is that all of our number 3s in the chat?
Everything in chat. I have Billy's number 3.
Yes, give me Billy's.
Billy Rhodes. Number 3 is Rory Gilmore from Gilmore Girls.
Nah, you take that back.
I'll start off by saying, Rory, your mom is way hotter and easily more interesting than you are. Wow, you were so gifted in high school and you did well in class. I'm genuinely glad that you were, so that by the time you go to college, you had no study skills and you really fucked the pooch at Harvard. Your love triangle storyline was shit. Jesus Christ, he gave you a fucking car. At least use your hand on him a little. Hashtag Team Lorelai. Hashtag eat shit, Rory.
Oh my God. I love Gilmore Girls. It's one of my favorite television series of all time. I I introduce it to my friends and family when given the opportunity. Katrina eventually watched it, even though I hyped it so much that she avoided it. But that is a lot of hate for a very sweet child who's just doing the best she can, you know? And it's not all about, being what other people expect you to be. Rory was just doing her own thing, she's living her life. And Jess and Dean's fight in season 4 or 5, might be season whatever season they have the fight at the house party, and I think it's season 4, is one of the greatest on-screen fights of all time. And it's crazy that it happened in a series that is about a mom and daughter living in a small, you know, where do they live? They live in Stars Hollow.
I've never seen Gilmore Girls. Don't look at me.
I'm just looking at you to try to remember. Anyway, it's great. I love the series. I love the characters. I love Rory Gilmore, and I had such a crush on Alexis Bledel all like my teen years and early adult years as Gilmore Girls was airing. And to hear you, frankly, talk shit about her, you're Connecticut. Thank you, Ben. You're lucky you're not in studio today. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Landon, I will move on to my number 3.
Okay.
My number 3 comes from One Piece, and it is Captain Usopp. Look at this pretender to the throne. The Going Merry and then Thousand Sunny's resident sharpshooter thinks that he is the most accurate and the best. But I will tell you right now, he does not have shit on Sniper King. So I don't know who the hell Usopp thinks he is, but we all know Sniper King is the greatest of all time. And Usopp can take a back seat. Landon, what do you have for number 2?
My number 2. For any of you musical or literature fans, it's Inspector Javert from Les Mis. Have you ever seen or read Les Mis? Okay.
So, I just know Wolverine's in it.
So this guy essentially tracks down the main protagonist, Jean Valjean, because he believes that he is a criminal who will never change. And after watching him and after chasing him all throughout France during a very turbulent time, fighting in the streets and everything, and then eventually catching up to him while he's trying to save a kid. Well, like 18-year-old adult, young kid, whatever. 18-year-old, young adult kid, whatever. He eventually, Jean Valjean just gets tired and says, fine, you can arrest me, but after we get him to safety, all right? And then he watches him like help them and get them to safety. And he's like, wait, have I been wrong? Can people actually change for the better? And this messes him up so much that he jumps off a bridge into a river. He is so conceited and self-righteous that the idea of him being wrong about something is too much for him to handle. He thinks he's all that.
Yeah. Deontay said Sniper Daddy. Hell yeah. I maybe Ben said, ooh, true. I wasn't even thinking of Sniper King. That's right. How could you forget about Sniper King? He's the greatest. I've not seen Les Mis. Jean Valjean is the character that Hugh Jackman plays in the movie, right?
I believe so.
And who plays the inspector?
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen the movie. I've read the book.
Me neither. I haven't seen it either. I just know it's got Anne Hathaway in it and Hugh Jackman and some other actors. I don't know. I should probably check it out eventually. It's just too new, I'm still waiting for it to hit streaming services. What else we got?
Let's see. I think Ben's the only one with his number 2 in, and that's Din Djarin. We all know Grogu is the main.
Yeah, some shade being cast toward the best on-screen Mandalorian we've ever gotten. And how Din Djarin is second to Grogu as the main character of the series. That being said, that series, Russell Crowe is the inspector. Thank you, Billy. That being said, that series would not be nearly as enjoyable if we didn't have Din Djarin. I think if it was, the Baby Yoda and someone not nearly as cool, it would not have done as well as it did, no matter how cute that little fucker is. But yeah, he's. I could see from your side, Ben, how Din Djarin may not be the protag of the series, especially since obviously Grogu is going to live like another 500 or 600 years.
Just Jax's number 2 is Alexis Rose, Schitt's Creek, until it actually is about her, and she does appreciate it. Great character growth.
It's just Alexis. Schitt's Creek is such a great series. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's so good. It's so wholesome and enjoyable and just fun. It's just like a feel good series, and in the same way that Ted Lasso is just like a, it's hard to be upset or angry when you're watching it. Like Schitt's Creek is so just genuinely good and funny and just such a lovely piece of entertainment. And I don't think we really have ever deserved it, but you should go enjoy it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Deontay's number 2 is Amanda Waller, DC Comics.
So this is one of the only characters who have ever outfoxed Batman to his face. Batman tried to get Amanda Waller to back off of the Justice League, and he threatened her. And she, in turn, threatened to reveal to the world that he was Bruce Wayne. And Batman had to go like, this isn't over, and like leave out her window. And that's one of the only times in all of comics or TV history that has ever happened. So yeah, totally. She has pimped so many villains. I will say, she does all that, but at the end of the day, she always loses. Amanda Waller usually tends to be on the receiving end. Billy Rhodes said, Ben, I think he meant respectfully, have to disagree. Grogu just made it Escort Mission, the TV show. I wanted John Wick in space. Bold statement. What's Billy's number 2?
Billy Rhodes, number 2, James Franco, from A Bunch of Shit. James, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I just hate every character you play. You are the reason why I love the Green Hornet movie. You get killed within 2 minutes of being introduced. Please, the next time you are going to get a role, turn it down and go back to college to hit on 18-year-old girls again. We all know that's why you're there.
I really, really am sorry, guys. I ADHD so hard sometimes. I looked over at my phone and missed all of the beginning of that. Who are we talking about?
James Franco.
Okay, that's all I needed. Yes, absolutely. James Franco, massive piece of shit. He was a Hollywood golden boy for a little bit there, and he took himself way too seriously. And he ended up in some really great, funny films where you would have thought like, oh, these guys are bros. And then like Seth Rogen is even like, I don't even fucking want to be around him. He's so fucking difficult to be around, And it's like, that guy's high like 90% of the time. Like it should not be hard for him to stay in the room with anyone because he's not noticing anything. But yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Cool. Landon, my number 2 comes from the world of DC Comics. And this character has long been a joke to the broader comic universe. And he's kind of the great value Green Lantern, really. And that is Guy Gardner. Noticeably here, from the Justice League International. Is it just? I believe it's Justice League International Comics, where he threatened Batman and then decided to try to attack him, and Batman knocked him out in one punch. Glass jaw much, you little bitch. Also, who told you a Dutch boy haircut was a good idea? You're an idiot. And there is no amount of better writing or character creation that could turn Guy Gardner into a character that I would give a shit about.
Two things. One, I do like how it's become a recurring gag for Batman to knock Guy Gardner out in just one punch in other media as well since this comic. Two, I will say he does have a decent run as a Red Lantern.
That's valid, but you know he has to change everything about himself for him to be interesting. It's very much a Jason Todd scenario. What's really funny, just to me maybe, but so Wildstorm had an analog to Batman named Midnighter, and then from the Authority, and then Wildstorm got bought by DC. And then Midnighter got brought into the broader DC universe. So there's another version of Batman from another universe that exists within the DC canon. And in the Darkest Night storyline, the Red Lantern, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's a cat. Decided to attack Midnighter. So he jumped across like a ship to attack Midnighter, and Midnighter punched this cat out in one punch. And it was literally the Guy Gardner thing all over again with a cat, which was great. I love Midnighter. Such a great character. Anyway, moving along. Landon, are you prepared to give me your number one? You're number one, please.
Man, 2 weeks out. Okay, my number one. It's Butch from Fallout 3.
Oof.
This is your childhood bully in the Fallout game. You first meet him by him threatening you and trying to steal your birthday present, which was like a sweet roll. He then, depending upon your dialogue options, will beat the shit out of you as a 10-year-old.
Oof.
Yeah, until it's broken up by like a security guard. After that, he basically bullies you all throughout your life. And then whenever it's time for you to leave the vault, a bunch of rad roaches are in the vault, and he comes screaming to you, being like, help me, my mom's being attacked by the rad roaches. And you could say no, you can ignore him, but like, you're not going to let his mom die because he's a little shit. And then after that, once you leave the vault, you come back later, and he's like, wow, you've been out there? Oh, man, I can make it big if I get out there, too. And he's like, listen, you solve this, I'll leave. He can become a companion later. Or you can also just, like, blow up a generator down here, cause a radiation leak or whatever. It's been a while since I played the quest. And that'll give me plenty of excuse to leave as well. And he's like, you really are this self-centered, and you really think you're that hot shit. Fuck you, Butch.
Yeah, I feel like this is a character I would have just killed.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, I probably would have. You give me that option in a video game, and you talk shit to me, I will put you down. That's just my first instinct. In Halo 2, the couple of times I played it, in the very beginning of the game, Master Chief gets on an elevator with a couple of other Marines, and they're like not necessarily lippy, but they're kind of being like stoic. And I put them both down with a fucking shotgun, like right at the beginning of the game. Nothing happens. It doesn't change the storyline at all. You don't get in trouble. Nobody throws a fit. So it's basically a victimless crime. What else we got in chat?
Billy, it's not that Butch eventually learns a lesson. It's that for most of his life that you've known him, he's been that asshole.
I mean, hurt people. He's probably not inherently bad. He's probably been treated poorly by someone else, you know, so you can continue the chain of violence. That's my choice. Or, you know, you could turn the other cheek and be the bigger man.
I mean, his mom is a known alcoholic in the game.
Take the high road. Give him an opportunity. Find forgiveness. Lead him to greener pastures. Those are options. It's not options I would take. Those are options.
And thank you, Deontay.
Well, yeah, Danny, you kill the Marines because you need the ammo, and one of them has the sniper rifle. Thank you, Billy. You get it.
Just Jax's 1.5. The entire cast of The Office, especially Just Jax's number one, Michael Scott. Until his last episode, when they wanted to make it about him, he wouldn't let them.
Yeah, I think that Michael Scott's whole character arc could be He Ain't Him, the series, because he totally believes he is, and he's just not that important. He's middle management at a paper factory in Scranton, Scranton, Pennsylvania. So yeah, dude, totally, I get it. That might be the most appropriate person on the list thus far. What else we got?
Ben Stewart's number one is any person I've ever had an argument with.
He does have that main character energy, don't you, Wally? Oh, man.
Oh, I completely missed Deontay's up here. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, this is great. Deontay has had a long-running feud all about this character. Go ahead.
Deontay's number one is Dwayne Johnson. Because I'm a hater, and there's only one role in movies that he actually earned his protagonist card, Scorpion King. As far as wrestling goes, he will always be second to Stone Cold.
That's true. His mic work was great, but he could not cut a promo the way that Stone Cold could at all. It's just, he's all right. He's no Shawn Michaels, to be sure. I would go so far as to say that Booker T maybe had better promotional skills than Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And of course, when they paired him up with the greatest of all time, the Mick Foley, he's going to pale in comparison by the man who actually is the him of the wrestling community. And so, I think during the Attitude Era, The Rock was okay. He didn't set the world on fire. He had some funny bits. He was basically a really bad Elvis impersonator. But yeah, no, totally. Absolutely. That is all of our number ones. Let's do Billy's.
Yes. Alrighty. Billy Rhodes, number one. George Takei, Sulu from Star Trek.
Oh no.
But mostly George, not the character he played. George, let me start by saying, I love Sulu. I think he has an important character on the show, and also I guess you were there for the movies. Now that that's out of the way, just listen. Who the hell do you think the main characters of the show are? There's a reason why you are the third favorite background character. Scotty is first, then Uhura, and maybe tied with Chekhov if you're lucky. Oh no, William Shatner was mean to you? He has an infamously known wit and a personality that is drier than the Sahara. Grow a spine and get used to it. Once at a con, I gave him $75 for an autograph and told him that I love Star Trek, and out of all 50 years of Star Trek, that he played my favorite character. He told me to go fuck myself, and I love him for that. George, the show was always about Kirk and Spock. Sometimes McCoy, like 2 or 3 episodes a season, maybe. So just stay in your lane and let William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy do the show, please.
Oh man, I love George Takei. He's so funny. But so is Billy. Absolutely. And yeah, I think everybody knows Spock was the main character of the first generation Star Trek. What? Billy Rhodes said to Dwayne Johnson's credit, he did do a cameo on Star Trek Voyager and Rock Bottom 7 of 9. I did not know that. I will have to look that up. I need to see this.
Yeah.
All right. Landon, my number one comes from one of my favorite properties of all time, which is Transformers. And it is Megatron's favorite frenemy, the once leader of the Decepticons, former leader of the elite guard on Cybertron, Starscream. Yes, this blue, gray, and red fighter jet with the a voice that is so crazily similar to Cobra Commander, you'd almost think they were the same person, is a coward, and how he led an elite military unit, I will never understand. But whenever he decided to try to take Megatron's crown in Transformers the movie and was summarily destroyed by Galvatron, I think he finally got his just desserts. Now, does Starscream stay dead? Absolutely not. The ghost of Starscream would go on to haunt the Beast Wars and Beast Machines storyline, as well as making notable appearances in other Transformers property, including the newer Transformers 1 movie and the live action films as well. But Starscream will forever and always only ever be an ancillary character to the greater, more powerful characters that he surrounds himself with. Did you hear some stuff you don't agree with? Go ahead and comment that in the chat. If you missed your opportunity to have your list read live on the show, you can go ahead and put it in the comments anyway. We will respond to it on social media. That being said, the hit list for next week. Let me find my list of topics. It's in here somewhere. Hit list ideas. We are going to do our 5 favorite scoundrels. It was a toss-up between knights and scoundrels, and I think I want to do scoundrels. I think I want to stay in the vein of snivelly characters for another week. So your 5 favorite scoundrels will be the hit list for next week, and that is what we have for this week. Welcome back to the show. Billy says he has a Transformers question. Billy, what would your question be? And yeah, Deontay, like Billy Bob Thornton's character in Bad Santa, that would be a scoundrel. Also, you could look at the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That's an opportunity for a couple of them. But there's some notable scoundrels in comic, movie, video game, and television history. Billy said, is Beast Machines when the Beast Wars characters go back to Cybertron, or is that something else entirely? Beast Machines is the series after Beast Wars when they make their way back to Cybertron. Something happens on the trip back. They lose their memories of what happened. They go through a bit of a time warp and they end up on the future of Cybertron. Megatron lands first ahead of them by many years. And by the time they get there, he has already taken over all of Cybertron. And the Beast Machines have to put their team back together and figure out how to stop the now 2-headed dragon version of Megatron. That is really cool. I have the figure somewhere, and it's so fun. But yeah, that's Beast Machines. The story really goes off the rail in Beast Machines. It kind of goes from like the wholesome, like really well-rounded story that was Beast Wars to being like, what the fuck is this about? Which is fine. It's still watchable. It's just the it was really just to sell toys anyway. But it's fun. It's got some really frustrating moments in it. Some heroes become villains. Some villains become heroes. You don't know who's who for a while. There's like a a soulless version of Megatron that is walking around Cybertron that's not the same as the Megatron that's running cyber. It's all over the place. It's very confusing. Just Jack said, I may already have my number one for next week. He's definitely on the list. Excited for this list, guys. Billy said, I think that Billy, myself, would be considered a scoundrel to some social circles. Yeah, Billy, I think you could be. You have that scoundrel vibe, I think, sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people, some scoundrels are fun. What is his name? My God. From Gone with the Wind, the main dude. I can't remember his name right this second. He's a scoundrel. Billy Rhodes said, "Oh, okay, that's what I thought. Beast Machines was, but wasn't sure. All I remember is Waspinator became a cool cycle bot, according to himself. Yeah, and Rat Trap stayed Rat Trap, but he got 2 wheels instead of back legs. Cheetor is still Cheetor. Rhinox becomes an evil tank. That is, he becomes a Maximal. Rhett Butler. Yeah, but yes, Rhett Butler. That was the character I was talking about. It's really like there's Savage Noble, who is, I think, turns out to be Tigertron, but in like a different body, and he's just like super disenfranchised and doesn't want to help out anymore. Like it's really like it was kind of depressing for a children's show, like with the stuff the Transformers have to go through. They have some very like disenfranchised Transformers who are just like, why keep fighting? And it's like, this is different, this is not what you normally get on a Saturday morning cartoon. So it, like I said, it's really muddied. It's very hard to keep like the plot straight and figure out who's who. They really iron it out by the end of the series, but Ben said the animation is terrible for Beast Wars. Today, the animation is terrible for Beast Wars. When Beast Wars came out, the animation was incredible. It was one of the first computer-generated animated series to hit television after Reboot, and Reboot was way worse, and I loved that too. But anyway, that being said, that is us for the week. We are 3 weeks out from Cape Con. We have an incredible guest list. We have an incredible maid cafe that is Dungeons and Dragons themed, called the Yawning Portal. We are going to have a pizza eating competition. 16 people enter, 1 man leaves. That's right. We're going to kill the other 15 people. The guest list is, like I might have already mentioned it, the guest list is incredible. Billy is full on coming at Ben in the chat. That's gonna end well. It is going to be such a fun time, and I'm so excited to hang out in the bigger venue and see what it's going to look like this year. And I'm really excited to hang out with everybody. So if you've got an opportunity, come out, meet Art the Clown, meet David Howard Thornton and Damian Leone, come meet Vanessa Marshall and Taylor Gray from yes, Billy. It means a mouth. It's an analogy for a mouth. But the Vanessa Marshall, Taylor Gray from Star Wars Rebels, Hera Syndulla and Ezra Bridger, respectively. The spectacular Spider-Man, Josh Keaton, coming to hang out with us. Andrew Gray, from the Red Ranger from Power Rangers Megaforce, is going to be here hanging out. Ming Chen is going to be here from Comic Book Men. Jenny Kwan and Olivia Hack, Ty Lee, Suki and Ty Lee from Avatar: The Last Airbender will be here as well. It is just going to be an incredible weekend full of fun and friends, and it's going to be a great time. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, you can get them now. You can go to cape-events/ticket or go to the Show Me Center website and you can pick them up, or you can come pick them up day of at the Show Me Center box office. Landon, do you have anything you'd like to say to the nice folks?
I don't think I have anything more to say other than thank you all for coming out every week like you always do and hanging out and talking with us in chat.
Oh, and Andrei Evchenko, the Russian guard from Stranger Things. He was the main antagonist of season 4. Also, yeah, what Landon said, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for showing up week after week. I would talk to no one for 2 hours at a time, but it is great to have people to talk to. Thank you, each and every one of you. You're great. I love you guys. And we, you know what? I think we'll see you next week.
See y'all.